What is up, everybody? We are live here, and so excited to be talking about this topic. So excited to have these people on with me, Amber Hedrick and Ryan Griggs, two very good friends of mine through the detailing industries where I met them. Ryan's become a really good friend through that. Amber, we worked side by side with her through onboarding with Detail Bookie, and then thereafter just talking business and things like that. Just excited to have you guys a part of this conversation, and want to thank you first of all for coming on and chatting.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I'm excited.
Yeah. As am I. Are we good, Chris? Yes, I can hear her. Okay, great. So first of all, for any content, I'm gonna give it a little bit of context about why we're on, and then we're just gonna dive right in. For those of you that didn't see, that might have been living under a rock in social media over the last couple of days, I made a post that said stress and anxiety simply or a lack of faith. I don't know that that's the exact words, but that's how it summed up. Okay, so stress and anxiety are simply a lack of faith. That's what I said in just a very blanket statement. So those of that saw it only saw that statement. Right before that, a couple minutes, I had went live for about 8 minutes, and I was explaining myself on how I felt like in my experiences of anxiety and stress, it was simply a lack of faith. I had went on and on about exactly how I felt that it had helped me. I'd went to church on Sunday. That's where kind of the message had been planted. The seed had been planted. I go for a long run that morning, and I'm like, you know what? You're exactly right. And as I've given my, given some of that up within my faith, I've seen a reduction in stress and anxiety. So then I take that and I just kind of do a one liner, right? Blanket statement. So, absolutely, I won't say it's taken out of context because it was taken in full context. It was the wrong message to say because it wasn't considerate of everybody's version of stress and anxiety. It was only considering what I felt like was my stress and anxiety and my solution. And it was very inconsiderate of others who have other forms of that whether it's chemical imbalance, whether it's, history that's created that, whatever. And so I was quickly, there was a lot of support because people understood that message because it had helped some people. But I was also quickly reminded that no, Dustin, this is not all the way the case. And Ryan was probably one of the first to jump on. Amber, you jumped on, and you guys respectfully so, you got you voiced your opinion, and you said, hey, I don't think you understand this completely, and I absolutely respected that. And then those that followed, now there was some shots in some of them that was, one of the ones that said it was I was being careless, and I don't like that because it was coming from a place of love and care. Like, it wasn't destructive or malintent. It was coming from a place of love and care, and me sharing that. I always preface a lot of I preface my videos a lot of times by saying, hey, this is my experience. It's unscripted. It's unoutlined. This is how I, feel about things. And so if you like it, great. And if you don't like it, don't take the advice. Kind of chew the meat and spit out the fat kind of thing. Take what you want out of it. And so that's that. I wanted those that are watching to have some context around what this conversation is. Now what I'd like to do is just chat. Let's, Ryan, you were on a few weeks ago talking about your road to recovery and alcoholism and how you've been sober for a period of time. It was about a year and a half now.
Yeah,
And,
a
and,
year
and
and
then
10 months.
congratulations on
Yeah,
that. And then
congrats.
Amber's had some struggles recently.
Mm.
And so what we'll do is we'll just kind of dig in. I want to pass the mic, and I want to open this up by saying, Ryan or Amber, why don't you start us up by saying kind of what your experience is with stress and anxiety, and kind of give us your take on why you're here.
Me?
Ladies first.
Yeah, Amber,
Okay.
please.
Sorry. I got confused. I think first off, I mean, I've always watched your videos and I'm like, oh, I'm not trying to be a stalker, like joking, but
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
helped me in the end where, for me, physical uh, has been a huge thing, like running, keeping myself busy. Long story short about myself, I had a heart transplant. I just celebrated 10 years, which is super
Wow.
exciting.
Nice.
Um, I'm still the first person to beat both cellular and muscle rejection.
Wow.
So that's huge. But I felt myself, you know, 5 years ago when I started this business, I could detail 3 cars a day by myself, pick
Mm-hmm.
up kids, run around, make dinner, load the camper, drive the dually. Like I was superwoman. I could do anything I wanted. But this last year, I've just felt like, okay, I can't do the treadmill. I can't do the elliptical. I can't lift things I wanted. And trying to get, the medical side to listen to me,
Mm-hmm.
it's like pulling teeth because I'm old news. I'm old numbers in transplant
Wow.
world. I'm
Wow.
not the news statistic. I'm not like the big dog, so they don't listen to you. So long story short, I found out on my 10-year anniversary that
Mm-hmm.
I'm actually in stage 3 of kidney failure and I'm in stage 2 of heart failure.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, it was a huge blow
Sure.
to find out on your anniversary because you're so excited. And but then I felt like, okay, my original doctor who had called me for transplant
Mm-hmm.
gave me the news and we sat there and we cried and then we were like, "Hey, we'll just do this, like we'll find a donor and it'll be great and we'll do it again." And
Sure.
and it for me it all plays a part where not only is this mental because you can beat the mental stuff, yes,
Sure.
but at the same time, for me it comes the faith. If I didn't have the faith, where would I be? And that's what
Mm-hmm.
struck me is because it's like, wait a minute. I'm out here trying to every day get up and still detail and run my company and start a new company and have kids and, my husband and working for me and doing all this stuff. And how do you get up in the morning
Yeah.
knowing that, okay, I just signed disability papers. Okay, my company is going to be for my husband. Okay, I am
Mm-hmm.
setting up for a death that I don't know is going to happen at the
Right.
end of the day. But my faith is what keeps me going because like I said, I talk to God all day long and Jesus has my hand. And if I don't think those things,
Amen.
then what's the point of all of this?
Yeah, exactly, and exactly. So your stance in this is faith does play an impact in the
Hmm.
way you deal with your stress and anxiety. No, it's not solving all your problems,
Right.
but it's a coping mechanism that you use to kind of offset some of that pressure, that
Hmm.
internal. Do I just give up or do I have some faith going forward?
Right.
Yeah.
And I do. And I've had it since I was little. I've always just believed I know where I'm going. I'm not scared to
Yeah.
die. I'm scared to leave what's behind.
Amen.
And do I think that, many people have medical issues? Absolutely.
Sure.
My daughter has borderline autism. My family has manic. We have anything and everything you could think of. I lost my
Hmm.
cousin to suicide. So I know what it's like to lose people from the mental side. And I know what it's like from the medical side. But I also know
Sure.
what it's like from the faith side. And I do believe that when my day is super hard and I don't lean on my faith, then my day is super hard. But if
Yes.
I lean on my faith and it's like, okay, we got this, we can do this, I'm gonna push through, and then it's
Hmm.
just a little bit better.
Yes, that internal dialogue that kind of keeps you going. Ryan, I mean, and we're going to come back around to all this.
Sorry.
So I don't, yeah, no, absolutely. This is perfect. That's exactly that's what this is all about is let's get our stories out there. That way it's relevant and we can talk about that. Ryan, kind of give us your rundown of stress and anxiety and how it's a part of your life or has been and then kind of why you're here.
I'm never stressed out. What are you talking about?
Right? Yeah, none of us are.
So I want to reiterate that what you said is not necessarily wrong. Anxiety and stress are simply a lack of faith. It is what you wrote.
Yes.
Um, there's in the mid 90s of people who, gave some kind of like, love, whatever. There's 67 comments in 2 days,
Hmm.
and some are relatively long.
Yeah.
Um, and I think it opened up a really great discussion. Um, but I would change it kind of like what I think you want to. I would say anxiety and stress are amplified by a lack of faith.
Sure.
Um, I don't think my faith is what gets me through everything, but
Right.
I'm someone who relies on music.
Mm.
And I
Oh,
will tell
really?
you,
Yeah.
yeah, I will tell you that if I'm having a stressful day, you'll probably hear me playing worship music.
Oh.
Oh, wow.
Hmm.
Yeah.
So for me, my faith is a big part of everything, but I'm also somebody who takes medication in the mornings for stress and
Hmm.
depression.
Hmm.
I see a therapist weekly. Um, But I've also found in the last, year and 10 months to pause and to pray. And it's just a big part of my day. And it's something I say to other people, pause and pray, because it will help. So I'm not arguing that faith isn't a big part of handling stress and anxiety,
Sure.
but for me, there is a little bit more to it. But for me, if I didn't have my faith, it would be 100 times worse, just like it used to be.
Mhm.
And Amber's a great example. Dustin, we have friends that are up here in Michigan. They're going through some medical stuff. We know other people that are going through way worse things than probably we are on a daily basis.
Absolutely.
Or maybe they're hit with an impact that maybe they weren't expecting, or something they're not ready to handle. I will say faith is a big part of getting through those things, or at least able to handle them to some regard. So I don't necessarily argue with what you said. I just think people took it out of context.
Yeah, and I mean, so I hate to say out of context, because they read what they read, and there was no preface before or after that they saw. So the ones that didn't see the video really didn't take it out of context. They read what they read and they disagreed, and that's right. And everybody has right to do that. I embrace those comments welcomely, and and I learned a lot along the way. What wasn't taken into consideration was my opinion on my page with my experience. So no one said, let's understand why Dustin feels that way. Like, let's understand why Dustin has to have faith to get through his stress and anxiety. It was, Dustin, stick to what you know. That's fitness. You obviously don't get it. And they didn't take into consideration that I'm a human too.
Yeah.
and I have stress and anxiety, and how I get through that. And I've dealt with my own demons. Ryan and I have scratched the surface of that, and there's going to come a time and place where I really unpack that, and I'm not ready to do that yet. But it carried a lot of weight. I carried a lot of weight for a long time, and to be able to have faith and feel some relief, I wanted to tell the world. I'm like, man, this is life for me, and where I felt like I lacked that at times. So that's where it came from. But I didn't take into consideration there are instances or there's a lot more to it than that. So Amber, like in your case, okay, this is extremely it's tough. It's tough. The weight of this is real.
Yeah.
And so stress and anxiety are probably a part of your everyday life. Is that, I would probably safe to say? Huh?
Oh, all day, every day. I mean, it's so hard to not be in my head. I joke, I've planned my funeral more than I've planned a wedding.
Oh my gosh.
Like but I've had this since I was born. I've had 3 surgeries. So for me, it's the anxiety of, do I want to build this business and make it like my dream, or do I settle down and I let it all go and I follow Kenny and I let Kenny, like, what's your dreams? Let me follow your dreams.
Right.
And I'm going to put myself on the side because my life is, I don't want to say done, but I've done everything I possibly could. And my dreams are simple. I just want to see my kids grow as much as I possibly can. And so I think of those days all day long. And then when I can't physically do things or I'm exhausted, that's when I do get in my head where I'm upset. I'm pissed off. I don't want to be around anybody. I can't go for a walk because everybody's paranoid where I'm at and what happened. So I feel like I constantly have to have a babysitter. So I live with it all day long. But like you said, Ryan, I listen to music all day long, of worship music. And then when I have like just a really hard day, I stop, I lock myself in the car, and I just either have to bawl my eyes out for a few minutes, listen to my music, get super mad, and then, okay, let's go again. Because I don't have time to waste.
Sure. Ryan, so thinking about your stress and anxiety, where do you think so obviously Amber's is health, like that's one of the contributing factors, right? Ryan, where do you think most of yours comes from? Do you think it's chemical imbalance and just something you're born with, or do you think it was from other things that happen in your life that's causing this?
Well, I
Mm.
mean, I've got my own situation going on, but being a business owner, if you're not stressed and have anxiety, you're not doing it right. So,
Right.
you know,
True.
You better have some
I've
faith.
got I got a 14-year-old kid going on 31, and a 1-year-old, and another one on the way that arrive in October, and you got financial stuff and kids, and
Mhm.
Mhm.
it's kind of a compounding a lot of things. But you look at other people and you kind of step away from your own
Mhm.
crap, for lack of a better words,
Yeah.
and you kind of take note that other people do have it worse.
Mhm.
So maybe just regroup and you can handle it,
Mhm.
or go talk to someone, confide in a friend, or like Amber does, and I've done it. I've locked the shop doors and just taken a minute,
Yeah.
Mhm.
and if
Yep.
people don't like it, that's too bad. I need a minute.
Mhm.
Um, I actually told my therapist today, because I did a session. I said, I'm sorry I rescheduled last week. She asked me about it, and I said, I just needed a minute. She goes, nope, that's
Yeah.
totally fine. You needed a
Mhm.
Yeah.
minute.
Mhm.
You didn't want to face everything right now. She goes, but we're here now, and we're going to face it now. And I said, yep, that's what we're here for. But you should take a minute. I mean, I don't know all of Dustin's story, but I will say, from a dad's perspective, from a guy who's engaged, he's a business owner. I mean, you started from the bottom. I was explaining that to somebody else yesterday that stopped in my shop. They didn't realize that you started under a canopy.
They don't know. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I love that story. So, I mean, if you start under a canopy and to fix a big boat, you got to put some foam blocks underneath that thing and lift it up a little higher. I mean, I love that
That's
story. I
exactly
do.
right. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I think of friends like Mike Carlin, and
Mhm.
nobody had it easy. If you know Mike Carlin's story, you look at that guy and go, "Huh? How'd you do it?"
Exactly.
Mhm.
I
Exactly.
mean, so you just kind of have to give in perspective that other people have it worse. I have an
Mhm.
amazing client, and I'll say her name because she don't care. But Courtney, I mean, she battled cancer,
Mhm.
and we met because someone had said something about doing something nice for her. Well, I reached out and said, "Let me detail your car."
Mhm.
So I did. I'm Bat and I were going to detail the car. We made it brand new.
Yeah.
Mhm.
That's
You know,
amazing.
when she
Mhm.
went to go pay, I'm like, "You don't have a bill." I'm like,
Mhm.
Yeah.
but you do those things and it makes you feel
It
good.
it does.
And
Mhm.
for me, though, I mean, do I want to play that Limp Bizkit song and say break stuff and scream for a minute? Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And we
But
all
I also find that listening to worship music gets me back on that level playing field.
Mhm.
It's funny you said music, by the way, because music to me can take me a multitude of different ways, right? Depending on what music I listen to. I've always listened to music. I had music in my life when I was growing up. So to hear you say that really just took me back because I was not expecting either one of y'all to say that.
Mhm.
And music's been a big part of my life. And I can control my emotions and feelings by the music that I'm listening to,
Mhm.
and it
Absolutely.
really so like if
Yeah.
I'm feeling a certain way, like and it's almost like we want to capitalize on that, and so you know what to play when it's when you're wanting to feel down a little bit, you play the songs you feel down about, and you're like, what is this, like, what am I
If
just
you want to feel
torturing
down, just play
myself?
some Jelly Roll.
Yeah,
Oh, there you
right.
go.
And it's also a trigger. It can be a trigger when you
Mhm.
think about addiction and things like that. Like,
Mhm.
you have to be really careful about music because music can absolutely be a trigger, and I know Ryan knows that very well. Um, and so, thinking about stress and anxiety, and I think this conversation comes up, a lot within my post and comments was, is it medical? Is it mental? Is it physical? When we talk about stress and anxiety, how much control do we really have over it? Or do we have to say, this is or is it chemical imbalance, or is it a combination of all those things? Amber, how do you feel when you think that? Do you think it's something that you can work through, or is this something that you're just diagnosed with in a sense?
Oh, um, I think it's all only in the sense because for me, like I've been through therapy for a very long time. I put myself through just to get through the battles, but I also went on depression medicine to help me because I couldn't get myself out of it. Even with my faith, I just couldn't pull myself out of it. So with the
Mm-hmm.
medication and with therapy, I was able to be like, cool, like I got this and I got myself off. So for
Yeah.
me, it's more of that, like, I think there was a comment of like being mental strong.
Mm-hmm.
I learned how to be mental strong. But then I feel like in my family, we have a lot of like bipolar disorder, manic disorder, things like that, high anxiety,
Yeah.
where um you know, I do think sometimes the medicine does help, but I
Mhm.
feel like I've seen a lot of people use it as a crutch where it was just easier to pop that pill and just zombie out than it was to be like, okay, I got my mood stable. I'm good. How do I get myself out of this? And I know people will be upset because, it is a chemical thing, but I also
Mhm.
think that our bodies are incredible and the things that we put our mind to can really do it. So, I mean, I get
Mhm.
everybody's comments. I just feel like, I don't know. I think that if you have the will, you have a way.
Mhm.
I
Ryan, you
I would
mentioned
agree
being
to
on
that.
medicine. Yeah, go ahead, Ryan.
So, I mean, good grief, I was early teens. Someone tried to say I was bipolar. Then it was ADHD. Then it was ADD. I remember going on meds that, I mean, I did. I felt like a zombie. So my wife will attest to this. I was like anti-medicine when she met me, and for years prior to that, because it just traumatized me to the fact of it makes you somebody you're not.
Hmm.
At least it was for me because I was on all the wrong stuff.
Sure.
So what I'm on now is such a low dose and such a right combination
Mhm.
that it works for me. I have a great
Hmm.
doctor who listens to me. Like I said, I have a therapist who listens to me. It's for me. It's for me with everything I'm going through. I need it
Yeah.
now.
Hmm.
When I get through a few things, do I want to stay on it? Probably
Right.
not.
Yeah.
But right now, it kind of gets me over.
Yeah. It's
It
a
helps
boost.
me though find that pause.
Yeah.
So whereas if I didn't have them, I was noticing I was pushing that, you know,
Mhm.
anxiety
Hmm.
panic mode right to that threshold.
In my post, I think the ones that took it offensively were probably coming from it from the medical side of things,
Hmm.
where they may have been prescribed and they may have been, that works for them, and probably heard in their life that's not real. You should just
Hmm.
get over it.
Yeah.
Just pray about it. Like they had probably heard that before. And so when I dropped my sentence in there, it was like a knife in the side.
Yeah.
Not thinking, I've never thought like that. I've never spoke to anybody that's taken medicine like you should do this, this, or this. Like that was not where it was coming from. I wasn't speaking to anyone that's medicated to say pull back. I was speaking to exactly my experience that I explained. Now, what most people don't know is when I was 18 or 19 years old, I had saw a therapist and I was prescribed anxiety medicine, and I took it for a month or two, and it wasn't it changed my personality, and so I
Hmm.
stopped taking it. And so, like I've battled this stuff my whole life. I've been an
Hmm.
overthinker. I've been I'll tell you, and I've said this numerous times. My personality says if I'm not stressing on something, I'm not doing enough.
Yeah.
If and literally, it's to the point where it's toxic. I would go like when I was in school, all the way up till you know like yesterday, I will stop and say, you know what, I was stressing on something a while ago. I'm way too common. What was I stressing on? And I'll find that thought, and then I'll re-stress on it. And so
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
stress and anxiety has played a major role
Hmm.
in my life, and it's
Hmm.
something I've dealt with since I can remember. And so I have a ton of experience with this. I don't have a ton of experience with fixing it, but I have a ton of experience of living with it.
Hmm.
And that's when I found some relief in my faith and prayer and giving this up. I was like, man, this just feels better. And it's not,
Hmm.
you don't get 24 hours of it, you get about an hour of it, and then it's kind of got to keep circling back. Ron, it looked like you was going to say something. Did I?
So we're all detailers, right? Most people
Yeah,
probably listen to this know that we're all detailers.
sure.
Let me ask you a question. Can you detail a car with just a vacuum?
No.
Hmm.
Mm-mm.
So for me, faith, maybe a little medicine, maybe communication, maybe the right music, all these
Hmm.
things, they're in my toolbox
Yeah.
because I can't fix me without the right tools. So
Hmm.
maybe it doesn't work for everybody. Maybe you don't need all those tools. I get it. But for me, it's a mixture of everything.
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and on any given day, it's a different tool that might work for that moment.
Hmm.
Um, I would say stress and anxiety, and I'm probably speaking for you, and I probably shouldn't, but for me, I see it as Dustin gets driven by it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Hmm.
But from what
Yeah.
I see that, I also look at it and go, listen, if I'm stressed out and I know this, and I have people like Dustin, whom I look up to as a mentor, then I know that if he can do it, then I can do it.
Mm-hmm.
And I was talking to somebody yesterday, like I said, and he came to me, and it was funny because Dustin and I were talking on the phone. He goes, "He calls you?" I'm like, "Yeah, he calls me." I'm like, "We're friends."
Yeah. Yeah.
So, and I said, "Listen, I've got mentors too." I said, "Listen, I call Billy Smith." I said, "That's my guy." I said, and I'm happy to be somebody else's,
Absolutely.
but if I can see the guys in front of me pushing and fighting through it, then I know I can too,
Mm-hmm.
because I know they're also going to put their hand back and make sure I don't get fallen behind.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. So what we see, I think, is it isn't one size fits all, and
No.
and I think when you said you can't do the entire detail with a vacuum, but it's like if you made a statement that says you can't build a house without a hammer, you might be right and you might be wrong,
Mm-hmm.
okay, or it may not be all inclusive, but the statement's not false. It's just not including everything and every option, and that's where I think that I should have. I learned that I needed to make sure that that I'm not so one-sided on something like that, because that's not where it was coming from at all. If you had to give some advice, someone that's watching this and is dealing with stress and anxiety and all that, and you could give about, because one thing that I noticed a lot of, especially in the ones that objected, didn't give an answer. It was simply, "You're wrong." And then it was, "This is harmful," and they didn't say, but here's way I handle mine.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of the ones that supported say, "Yeah, absolutely, because this, and this," But the ones that objected was like, "No, you're just wrong. This doesn't consider mental." But they didn't say, "So you should go to a doctor, you should go to a psychiatrist, you should get on medicine, or you should run 10 miles," or whatever your thing is. Amber, if you could give some advice to somebody that's watching this that really is lost in this and is like, "Hey, I deal with this stuff too," obviously, and I don't think that many of them, their stories going to align with yours, because you've been dealt some tough cards. But what would what's a piece of advice you'd give them?
I it's with my clients. I'm very, very personal with my clients, and so I have some that I'm like, call me day and night. Find a friend. Find any friend. If you don't feel comfortable with a therapist, go to your friend. Go to someone you feel safe. That's even just like, "I'm having a bad day," and they say something to you, just because keeping it in, bottle it in, and you don't have anything to back up, that's where the voices come in, and that's where we're getting this suicide and the drugs, the alcohol, the down spiral. So I always tell everybody, find a friend. If not, call me. Like, my number's
Right.
posted. I'll talk to anybody. I mean, I'll grab a bottle of wine, whatever. But I just feel like, find somebody. And if you can't, then go and, if medicine helps, take it. Whatever you need be, nobody's going to judge you for taking that first step, because the person who takes the first step is the strongest, because that's the hardest part out of everything.
Ryan, giving some advice here, if someone's listening in and they are at that point, what's a piece of advice that you'd give them, Ryan?
Pause. You're not alone.
Mm-hmm.
Just pause. Because honestly, I think if you can give yourself the grace to pause, then you can give yourself the grace to know that you're strong enough. Now, that's not to say that you're strong enough alone, but it might give you enough time to call a friend. And if you don't have that friend, then, my number's on Facebook.
Yeah.
It might be to just listen to the right music, and it might be to listen to Limp Bizkit's Break Stuff for a hot second. Go nuts. I don't care. Throw something.
Right.
I ain't judging. I'm not going to say I haven't thrown something across my shop. I have, because times get hard, they get tough, and that's what made me feel good at that moment.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't live my life entirely that way, but you need a minute. I think we all just need to understand that we're all not like this blanket of the exact same thing.
Mm-hmm.
We all have a story. You may not be privileged to know that person's story.
Right.
So you need to have an outward mindset and just be careful. I don't think Dustin's statement meant to be anywhere near harmful. Not at all.
No.
I don't, but I say that in the context of, I know Dustin.
Yeah.
And I think it's unfortunate that people saw it otherwise and don't know him the way that I do. I feel bad for them, because I mean, I love Dustin. So
Mhm.
And
it took everything I
Keith,
had
too.
not to go on there and rebuttal and, you know.
Oh, I had
I deleted and deleted and deleted and deleted and then wrote and deleted. I was like, "Dang it."
Yeah,
I had
the
screenshots
little
of
brother in me
people
wanted to
that
come
were
out
wanting
and do
to.
something, but
There was a lot of
I
that,
think we all
and
just need to focus
yeah.
on the fact that we're not alone and that, we're not all the
Mhm.
same, and that,
Mhm.
I don't think anybody's out to attack you. And if they are, you're in the wrong circle. Delete them.
Yeah,
Delete them out of your life.
absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, and so mine is, listen, I think that you have to find what's right for you. What
Mhm.
I've learned in all this is everybody is different, and even though I found something that works for me, I need to make sure that I preface that this is my own experience, and that yeah, I hope this helps somebody. I hope somebody
Mhm.
feels the same relief I felt from Faith. But if you haven't and you're taking medication because, or and I hate to blanket statement medication, because there's other stories too, I think, that were in that's not just defending medicine. Whatever their thing is, besides faith, that they're solving their
Mhm.
anxiety and stress problem, they need to lean heavy on that. As
Mhm.
long as it's not something harmful, as long as it's not,
Mhm.
taking you down another path that's
Mhm.
gonna, be destructive in your life, or pull you back or
I
suppress
mean,
you. And
yeah, heck, I used to deal with it with a beer and a shot. So
that's what I'm saying. And
Yeah.
there was some comments on there that people that are regular drug users, and we know them on Facebook
Mhm.
because they make the comments and they make the post and we see them. So if they're dealing with stress that way, then so be it. But that's where my post was coming from, was to take people that are, some that may be dealing with it in a toxic way, and let's put it into something productive.
Mhm.
And so, that's where, if I'm giving advice, I'm going to go back to where I was and say, you know, um, faith played a heavy role in the relief of mine. Hopefully that would give you an outlet. But if it
Mhm.
doesn't, and you've already know that, and medicine or whatever it else is, it could be that's doing it, stay on that. But, we control the thoughts in our mind. And I think
Yeah.
that, if we relinquish control, if we say, you know what, we're subject to whatever happens up here, and we have no control, then we can't determine how our lives live. Like how we live
Mhm.
our lives. We're only subjected to our thoughts now, or our actions, and we do have control. And yes, chemical imbalance is real, and yes, people have different backgrounds that
Mhm.
cause them to think different things. But at the end of the day, we do control what happens between our ears. And we
Mhm.
do control the message there, just like we control what comes out of our mouth. We control what goes in between our ears. And I think that if we work on that with faith, and paired
Mhm.
with good decisions, it can produce a healthier, better lifestyle.
Mhm.
Any final thoughts? I want to open this up to Q&A. I don't know, like you said, we had tons of comments. I sent people private messages that were very passionate about their response, in hopes that they would come on here and very openly said, like, this is not for me to defend at
Mhm.
all. I want to make sure that everybody knows that I do know that I felt like I was probably I was in the wrong. Not probably, I was in the wrong in the way that I stated it, and I should definitely have reworded it. And going back, I absolutely would, but then I wouldn't even be having this conversation.
Mhm.
And Amber, I wouldn't know your story, and to its fullest extent. And I think that people hearing this, they're going to benefit from this, and that's worth any bit of negative feedback I could hear. Who cares? Like, these are just comments online. What's
Mhm.
amazing is we get 2 stories, or 3 stories
Yeah.
that may impact. And I can't tell you how many private messages I get from every live and every post I make that says, man, this just hit me right this morning, or this hit me, this made. So for everyone that was yelling at me, in all caps, there was another 10 of you guys in my inbox that was supporting and thankful for that post. So let's open it up. Chris, I don't know if we have any comments. So apparently not. We'll give it a couple minutes here. If you guys have any final thoughts, we'll leave this thing up for just another minute, and then we'll jump off. We have 4 people
I just,
watching.
I think it's really funny how people that don't really know each other can, on a real deep level, can just say, hey, music is what I lean on.
Isn't that wild?
Yeah.
Isn't that wild?
And my wife
Mhm.
knows that. I mean, she didn't realize it quite at first, but I do. I mean, it's music.
Oh, Chelsea.
If
knew
I'm
that.
listening to
Chelsea
sad
knows
music, I probably should change that sad music.
Same. sad music will take you there quickly.
We were working today in the shop, and it was play that funky music, White Boy or something. And I'm sitting there, I'm dancing, doing a rap on a car, and just whatever. But I had even mentioned to Darren, we were in the shop. I was like, I love the fact that we can just listen to this goofy music and just enjoy work.
Set the vibe. Amber, go ahead. You were going to say something.
Oh, I was thinking about music. I think my favorite thing, because we do love music, but when the girls get home, we dance in the kitchen. When we cook, we dance. So we make Kenny dance with us too. So it's something.
I'd love to see that.
It's yeah. Well, they're already practicing TikTok, so that one's fun. But yeah, music is big. So if the kids are sad, or my favorite is when they're fighting, then we just put the music on, and music's on our house all the time too.
So each one of my kids currently have a song.
Hmm.
My daughter's is the Tim McGraw song, My Little Girl. So I used to sing it to her to put her to sleep. Well, now my son has Brantley Gilbert, The Man Who Hung the Moon.
Oh.
So now I don't always sing it to him, but if we'll play it on an iPad and set the timer, and he'll fall asleep to it every time without a doubt.
That's amazing.
I mean, I start my kids out on music, so.
Listen, I know when the shop, just throwing it back to the shop here, I'll tell them, listen, we got to get the vibe up. The first thing I start was music. Find you some good music. Find it. Listen, I don't care. As long as it's, decent, play it and play it loud. And because it sets the tone. Demi and I, we have a strong relationship and bond through music. When she sings, I say, you sing it as loud as you can. I don't care loud and proud is what I tell her. Because I know what good music and good vibes how it can make you feel and all. And so it's, probably the biggest, the oddest thing that came out of this conversation was understanding how music affects everybody's lives, or at least our, all three of us. So
yeah.
Yeah, granted, faith is great, but it seems three people just bonded over some music.
Yeah. What would my statement go? Stress and anxiety can be eliminated with music. No, I'm not even going there.
No, go there.
Yeah, I'm so thankful. I'm so thankful you guys joined. I'm thankful to hear your story, Amber and Ryan, of course. Jumping on here again. It means the world to me. I love each and every one of y'all too. And, hopefully somebody gets something out of this, and my pain can be someone else's gain.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate it.
Appreciate it.
Yes, thank y'all.